3 army personnel remanded in connection to the Maithripala shooting. 4 agreements signed between Sri Lanka and Russia. Supplementary estimate of 370 million presented to Parliament to purchase vehicles for ministers. Vima Veerwanta submits another bail application.
A very good evening to you. You're watching Prime Time News on News First. What is happening in the country as we head into the weekend? We are here to tell you. I'm Chaturanga Hapuarati.
And I'm Rahna Farooq. Let's start off with a look at your top story for tonight. Russian President Vladimir Putin says President Maithripala Sirisena's visit to Russia is an important milestone in the 60 years of relations between both nations.
It was at a summit in Goa, India, that President Putin extended an official invitation to his Sri Lankan counterpart to visit Russia, commending President Sirisena as a leader who made a strong commitment to bring about social change. The last visit to Russia by a Sri Lankan head of state following an official invitation was 43 years ago, when then Prime Minister Sirimava Bandaranayake toured Russia. President Sirisena visited the Red Square to place a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier and thereafter called on his Russian counterpart at the Kremlin. Russian President Vladimir Putin has promised to provide all support to continue strong trade and political relations between both countries. President Sirisena had appreciated the friendly approach made by a powerful world leader. During the meeting, the Russian president presented a significant gift to President Maithripala Sirisena, symbolizing the close relationship between two countries. This special gift was a 19th century royal sword belonging to the Kandyan era. This sword had been brought to England in 1906 and later bought by Russia at an archaeological artifact auction. President Sirisena also graced the occasion to mark the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Russia. Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia Igor Morgulov represented the Russian government, and Russian cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman to travel to space, and cosmonaut Vladimir Lykov were also present at the occasion. This afternoon, President Sirisena called on Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, where the latter announced that Russia will commit to provide more benefits to Sri Lankans in the field of bilateral economic relations. Sri Lanka and Russia inked 4 memorandums of understandings in the fields of fisheries, technology, culture and tourism.
When it comes to international relations at the United Nations, UN Security Council, Human Rights Council and other institutions, there are times that we are faced with difficult situations. At that time, the previous USSR and now Russia has stood by us as an honest friend. There are allegations made against me and the government that the government is one-sided. There are allegations that we are only aligned to the West. I have always refuted those claims. We follow a centralized foreign policy and have made friends with all nations in the world. I am happy to announce that there is no country which has a dispute with Sri Lanka. Everyone works in a friendly manner with us.
Russian media also gave extensive coverage for the president's visit to Russia.
3 soldiers suspected of opening fire during the Maithripala protest in 2013 were arrested by the CID today.
Locals took to the streets claiming that waste from a factory in the area pollutes the water sources in the area. Sri Lanka army called in to control the protest and shots fired during the process, resulting in the deaths of 3 civilians. Over 40 people were injured. A staff sergeant and 2 corporals arrested over the incident were produced before the Gampa Magistrates Court and were remanded until the 3rd of April.
A supplementary estimate to the tune of 371 million rupees for the purchase of 9 vehicles for ministers and deputy ministers were presented to Parliament by Minister Gayantha Karunathilaka.
The funds will be allocated to purchase vehicles for the Ministers and Deputy Ministers of Health and Education, Minister of Plantation Industries, Minister of Sports, Deputy Minister of Mass Media and for the Chairman of the Parliamentary Working Committee. A portion of the supplementary estimate will be set aside for the lease of 6 vehicles. The supplementary estimate has been presented to Parliament while there are luxury vehicles rusting at Taj Mahal City.
Information was revealed in Parliament recently with regard to the colossal sum of money allocated to maintain the offices of ministers who were appointed to look into the well-being of the masses.
Ministry of Agriculture, monthly rental over 24.5 million rupees. Down payment made for 23 months, 570.6 million rupees. Even though rent has been paid for the past 11 months, the building is yet to be occupied. Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade, monthly rental over 1.5 million rupees. Ministry of Law and Order and Southern Development, monthly rental over 2.4 million rupees. Ministry of Primary Industries, monthly rental over 2.8 million rupees, down payment made for 12 months, nearly 4.3 million rupees. Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, monthly rental over 4.8 million rupees. Ministry of Women and Child Affairs, monthly rental over 14 million rupees. Ministry of Prison Reforms, Rehabilitation, Resettlement and Hindu Religious Affairs, monthly rental over 3.4 million rupees, down payment made for 3 months, nearly 15.2 million rupees. Ministry of Social Empowerment and Welfare, monthly rental over 11.9 million rupees. Ministry of Science, Technology and Research, monthly rental over 6.6 million rupees. Accordingly, the monthly rental expenditure borne by the government for these ministries amounts to nearly 150 million rupees, while the down payment made for them exceeds 1 billion rupees.
The All Ceylon Peasants Federation revealed that a majority of the paddy stored in Maithripala have been given to the liquor manufacturer W.M. Mendes & Co. Limited.
The paddy stored in Maithripala have been given to W.M. Mendes & Company Limited to manufacture liquor. They loot public funds to build distilleries and brew spirits. Cabinet approval has not been granted, nor has Provincial Council approval been granted. The Minister is not aware of it. The BOI has not approved it, but the construction is taking place. Where did they get the courage to do this? This is being done with the assistance of Ranil Wickramasinghe. If the rich can be entertained, why can't they provide for the farmers? We want the government, do not anger us.
The Paddy Marketing Board says 4,000 metric tons of paddy was released to W.M. Mendes & Company Limited following cabinet approval. The remaining stocks were released to 2 major rice mills in the country. After paddy was moved into the Maithripala International Airport, the airport lost its license. A shortage of rice also caused chaos in the markets, resulting in the importation of rice and increased prices in locally produced rice. The general public therefore had to spend even more on purchasing rice.
We have to purchase rice for around 80 to 90 rupees. W.M. Mendes & Company Limited has been given the paddy, causing a shortage in rice and resulting in the importation of rice. The people have to spend more to buy rice. If this continues, we have to consume poison. The ministers, MPs and officials enjoyed commissions and forced the importation of rice without issuing the paddy. The government is working against its own policy. Are they telling us to drink alcohol instead of eating rice?
There is controversy over the approval given for the construction of the Calcutta distillery.
The Chief Minister says he is not aware. How did they obtain the lands? We asked Malik Samaravikrama on what basis did he give permission for WMN and Company Limited, chaired by Arjun Aloysius, to construct a distillery in Calcutta. The era where any rogue can come and invest is over.
UNP organizer for Calcutta, who led the assault on the Shakti FM reporter and a newspaper journalist, recently made the following comments.
We gave the lands for the construction of the factory in Calcutta. That is an ethanol factory. Ethanol will be produced here and moved to Colombo. You need paddy and corn to produce ethanol. This will be beneficial for the farmers in Batiklo.
Chief Minister of the Eastern Province Nazir Ahmad released a statement on the proposed distillery. It reads that a unanimous decision was made by the Provincial Council against the distillery in September last year, and that the Valacheni Divisional Secretary as well as the Secretary of the local authority were instructed to obtain an injunction order against it. Despite these measures, construction of this distillery still continues.
How was the license of a company that evaded paying taxes extended?
However, last week we were informed that they paid the taxes. This may be because you spoke about it in the media.
Last week, 460 million rupees in taxes was paid. Therefore, they become innocent in the face of the allegations that we made. They did so because they need to move away from the allegation made against them. We need to question the government and the Ministry of Finance regarding this. If an ordinary man evaded paying taxes in the country and attempted to obtain a loan, that loan application is rejected. The taxes due by this company were paid at once. On what basis was that done? Why were they evading the taxes? These individuals have set up establishments under various names and have purchased shares through aliases. This is an operation taking place to launder funds looted through the Treasury bond scam. It is clear that the first shareholder of WMN and Company Limited is a company owned by Arjun Aloysius. The second shareholder is also a company owned by the group led by Arjun Aloysius.
Controversy surrounds the fate of the Hambantota Port at present. A subcommittee was appointed by the President recently to look into the deal regarding the Hambantota Port. The 5-member subcommittee consists of Minister Dr. Sarath Amunugama, Arjuna Ranatunga, Partly Champika Ranawaka, Susil Premjayantha and Faiza Mustafa. However, it was announced during a media briefing today that Minister Partly Champika Ranawaka would not take part in the subcommittee. The Democratic Left Front alleges that a deal with regard to the Hambantota Port has been signed in secrecy when a cabinet subcommittee has been appointed to look into the matter.
We got to know yesterday that they have signed a deal with regard to the Hambantota Port. This is illegal. Before the President travelled to Moscow, he appointed a subcommittee of ministers to look into this and take the relevant decisions. We can see that Ranil Wickremesinghe has taken steps to sign this in the meantime. We know about this thoroughly. The chairman of the Ports Authority is against this deal that they reached yesterday. His opinion is that this violates the rights of the Ports Authority. But the Prime Minister has undertaken this task autocratically, and because of his stubbornness, we can see that he is issuing a warning to say that selling the Hambantota Port is the policy of the country, irrelevant of the money that will come into the country. We can see clearly through this that he is trying to sell off property that belongs to the country, irrelevant of the losses and benefits that will create, or the importance of ownership. That is what we can see.
Staying on the same story, Acting Minister of Ports and Shipping Lasantha Muthuhettigama has written a letter to President Maithripala Sirisena detailing his concerns regarding the fate of the Hambantota Port.
The letter by Deputy Minister Nishantha Muthuhettigama draws the attention of the President to two documents that were presented for consideration during the Cabinet meeting held on the 21st of this month under the auspices of the President. Two documents are a cabinet paper by the Minister of Special Assignments Dr. Sarath Amunugama on the concession agreement of the port of Hambantota and a note to the cabinet by Acting Minister Muthuhettigama which highlights concerns and challenges in connection to the Hambantota Port project. The letter by the Acting Minister also notes that on the 20th of this month, a decision was reached by the President to appoint a cabinet subcommittee consisting of 5 ministers in order to reach a decision on the two cabinet papers. It adds that the Cabinet Subcommittee was appointed based on extensive discussions on the previous night. Muthu Hettigama notes that a letter on the cabinet decisions issued by the cabinet secretary on the 21st of this month details decisions which are contrary to the letter issued by the president on the 20th of this month to the cabinet of ministers, in which the president states that the two cabinet papers should be carefully considered before a final decision is reached. The letter on cabinet decisions had noted that cabinet paper number 83 submitted by Minister Sarath Amunugama had been approved, and the subcommittee was appointed to take appropriate action to move ahead with the Hambantota project. Muthu Hettigama's letter concludes by requesting the President to turn his attention to this matter and take appropriate decisions in this regard.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka rates its benchmark interest rates by 25 basis points each on Friday for the first time in 8 months. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka raised the Standing Deposit Facility Rate, or the SDFR, and the Standing Lending Facility Rate, the SLFR, to 7.25% and 8.75% respectively.
Why did you all increase this rate by 0.25%? For a couple of things. One is, on the monetary side, we are not entirely happy with the developments. The credit growth has not slowed down as much as we wanted, and the monetary base, the money base, is expanding at a rate we are not comfortable with, because the central bank is having to take treasury bills, because the government has there's a bunching of government borrowing in the first half of this year, and we are having to accommodate some of that. So that is putting pressure on. So that is a reason for doing it. But another reason is the US Federal Reserve increased their policy rates by 0.25%, and there is merit in maintaining the same differential. So we also adjusted by 0.25% to discourage any outflows and to incentivize inflows, to have the same, maintain the same differential. So those are reasons for increasing the rate. There is lot of the pressures we are seeing are due to factors like supply disruption due to the VAT, due to price increases due to supply increases because of the drought, rather. And on the contrary, we are not happy with the level of economic activity in the economy. Growth is not as high as we would like it to be. So we don't want to choke the economy even more.
The governor was also questioned whether the decision to increase the interest rates was prompted by advice from the IMF.
If I remember correctly, they said we should be vigilant and be ready to move rates if necessary. So that's what we always, they don't need to tell us. We know we need to be vigilant and be ready to take action one way or the other. So that we do anyway. And so the Monetary Board was vigilant, and it wanted to be proactive and to signal very clearly to the markets, to consumers, to producers, that inflation expectations should be well anchored, because the Central Bank of Sri Lanka will take decisive action to make sure that inflation remains in the band that we want it to be, which is the mid-single digits.
The new UNHRC resolution has provided Sri Lanka with 2 more years to fulfill its commitments towards achieving reconciliation, accountability and human rights.
The resolution calls for the implementation of the outstanding recommendations laid out by the Commission of the United Nations Human Rights Council in 2015. The newly passed resolution encourages the continuation of the engagement Sri Lanka has with the UN Human Rights Council, its commissioner and other related bodies. The resolution concludes by saying that a written update should be provided at the 37th session of the UNHRC, and that a comprehensive report on the implementation of Council Resolution 30/1 should be presented at the 40th session of the UNHRC.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe celebrates his 68th birthday today. News First takes a brief look at the Prime Minister's career.
Wickremesinghe first entered Parliament at the age of 27 with a win from the Biyagama electorate in 1977. He was the youngest cabinet minister at the time. He held portfolios as Minister of Education, Youth Affairs and Employment, and was instrumental in the creation of the National Youth Services Council as well as the establishment of the Free Trade Zone. He was also the longest-serving opposition leader in the country and held the position of Prime Minister 4 times. We wish the Prime Minister a happy birthday.
Vimal Veeravansa's attorneys presented an application to the 4th Magistrates Court today seeking bail for their client, taking into consideration the health of his daughter.
The magistrate said that the decision on the bail application will be made on the 3rd of April. A group including parliamentarians Pavitra Vanyarachi, Sisira Jayakodi and Udaya Gammampilla were present. Meanwhile, former MP D.E.W. Gunasekara made the following comment at a media briefing. Be it right or wrong, when a court delivers a decision, such things happen. How will a solution be given if one resorts to a hunger strike? The President will have to make a statement to the judge that this person might die if he continues this act. I am not sure if this is the first time that this has happened. I too have been in prison for 3 months. If this is the case, we must never come into politics. You must undergo suffering when in politics.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into serious acts of large-scale corruption and fraud today. The former president arrived at the commission to provide a statement with regard to a non-payment of 164 million rupees to the Sri Lanka Rupohini Corporation for campaign propaganda aired on the channel in the run-up to the last presidential election. Former President Rajapaksa was called to appear before the Commission to record a statement with regard to this on several occasions earlier as well. However, he had informed the Commission that he was unable to present himself before the Commission due to various reasons.
Speaker Karu Jayasuriya today warned members of Parliament over their conduct in the House.
The recent ruckus in Parliament prompted the Speaker to make the following statement. On the 22nd of March 2017, several members of this House acted in a manner that besmirched the honour and prestige of Parliament whilst making baseless and profound allegations at the Prime Minister and other members. I observed that the standing orders of Parliament were purposefully violated. The benchmark of democracy is the legislature. I wish to draw the attention of all members to the fact that behaving in a manner that disreputes Parliament is not in accordance with the traditions and norms of Parliament. If there is any objection to an MP, as per parliamentary tradition, action can be taken on the standing orders. I emphasize that all MPs, both government and opposition, must act in a manner that upholds the honour of the House and refrains from making baseless allegations against each other and actively participate in the debates.
The foundation stone for the construction of another village in Lower Mattala, Lunagam was laid today.
The village, which will be named Athrajgama, will be the 359th model village. On previous occasions, government representatives went to Geneva, bent in two. Our country was warned and challenged. We were threatened. They said, if we fail to comply, action will be taken. This time around, we were welcomed with praise and not with allegations.
An unknown viral fever is spreading over the Puttlam district.
It is reported that 800 dengue patients from over 100 villages in the Puttlam district visit the Puttlam Base Hospital for treatment daily. A hospital source says that around 600 of them receive treatment for high fever and 200 patients are receiving in-house treatment. Meanwhile, a number of dengue patients are reported in Negombo. Director of the Negombo General Hospital, Dr. Nilanthi Patharana, said 250 dengue patients have been identified. She added that the hospital lacks facilities to accommodate a large number of patients.
Reminding you that you can keep track of all these stories and more on our award-winning website www.newsfirst.lk. Let's move on with more local news. IPM Sri Lanka organized its second annual IPM Research Symposium 2017 under the theme Exploring New Frontiers in HR, Creating Value. The aim of the research symposium is to identify and highlight research findings on contemporary HR issues which are of special relevance to Sri Lanka and to the South Asian region. Dr. Chandra Ambuldeniya, who is the founder Vice Chancellor of the Uwa Wellassa University, was the chief guest at the symposium.
Tradition and at top management level.
So take a small
In sports news, who do you think should be the most popular sports personality of the year? Well, Sri Lankan racing champion Dilantha Malagamuwa has been nominated for the most popular sports personality of the year at the Sports First Platinum Awards. The award ceremony will take place on the 31st of this month at Stein Studios, Ratmalana. Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. I'm Chaturanga Puarachi.
And I'm Rahna Farooq. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant night.